It's recording now, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome Tiina tonight, who's going to share some absolute pearls of wisdom from a seminar that she attended. And it sounded so amazing when we chatted about it. I begged her to be our guest tonight. So, Tiina, I'll hand it over to you and let us know if you'd like us to participate, or it's all yours.
Oh, thanks, Hill. Yeah, I'll try to keep it pretty short. I know that the last call went over. So yeah, basically I went to the sales, it was a sales seminar, very compact, and it was by exposure coach Janine Davison. She's really good, and she's trying to make everything really, really simple. I've done the DISC profiling in the past in some point, and I just found it really sort of a little bit complicated, you know. There's so many different factors and things. And what she did, which I wanted to share, she has made it so simple that you're basically saying that there's 3 types of people. So whenever you're talking to someone, and you, if you, even in your own family, like when you're looking around your husband and your kids, and if you find out what type out of those 3 types they are, it just makes it so much easier to make sure that we can communicate so that that other person is on the same, you know, wavelength as us. So basically what she's saying is that there's 3 types of people. The first type is knowers. So the knowers are, they're very sort of assertive and confident, and they usually, when they're direct, and they do their research before, like when they get to they decide to buy something, they do their research, and then they go to that sales process. It's very fast and very direct. When you talk to a knower, you can't fluff around things. They just want the dot points, and they don't like reading a lot. So if you are sending them information, don't make that sandwich thing, you know, that you fluff it up and then you put the information in the middle and then a little bit nice stuff in the end. They just want that middle piece. So the information dot points, like in terms of Choose Plus, the email's got to be short, the phone calls straight to the point. I know a few knowers on this call. So the next one, the next person. Well, I just, I think the way I'll talk to, okay, if you've got the knower, so they're direct, and then I say how to talk to them. I'll go to them one at a time. So yeah, basically with the knower, you get a 1 chance with them. All right? So you've got to be straight to the point. There's 1 chance, and that's it. And they need to feel in control. So if you need to offer them options, and they still feel in control, and they don't want to hear the stories. They don't want to hear a lot of stories, because you don't need to make them feel good. They already feel good, basically. The next type is thinkers. And I've got this sheet that I sent the copy to Hillary, but I'll put it also up on the Facebook page, our team page, so that you can see what I took away from there. So you don't actually have to make a lot of notes. So the thinkers, and I'm a thinker, all right? They want a lot of information before they purchase. They are usually slow and systematic. They don't make the decisions in a rush. They need time, and they might spend a lot of time before they make the decision, and they don't like to be rushed. So when you're talking to a thinker, don't rush them, because you lose them. For example, like if you're on the phone and you sort of always first try to establish who am I talking to? Is it a knower, a thinker, or a feeler? And when you've established that it's a thinker, you've got to make sure that when you get these moments, you know, these pregnant pauses in a conversation, allow that time. Don't try to fill it in with a chit chat. You need to allow them that time to think and then respond. And don't ever try to finish their sentences. They enjoy the process of doing their research, making the selection. They might go away and then come back. And even if, and after a conversation, they might still need the time to think. I'm a thinker. It took me 2 years to decide to take the Choose Plus. All right, so so give them time. So that let me just see. And when you I'll just lost the track. And with the thinker, when you talk to the thinker, it's a really great idea to repeat their answer back to them. So say something. So what you are saying is, so you're confirming what they are saying, because that makes it clearer for them in their head as well. And they like to read and they like homework. So if you send them articles or give them homework, then they like that. Whereas Noah doesn't really like that. And if you don't know the answer, just tell them that you don't know and you'll get back to them. Now the third type of person is a feeler. And they want to feel and touch and smell things, and they want to feel good. So they want an experience. So for the feelers, you need to create that experience. And for the feeler, they love stories. Right? They love to hear the stories that make them feel good, that they make them feel like they want to be part of something. And they are generally very happy. They are generally open. And they quite often, they might ask you questions to just get attention and be chatty and talk. And sometimes they might talk too much. So you've got to learn some of the techniques or have a sort of a script with them, so you don't just go on and on talking about everything and not get anywhere, So they love testimonials, pictures, and the main thing to feel is they want to feel valued. And when we're talking to them, we need to make them feel that they can really, really trust us. Give them stories, testimonials, but not push. They don't like to be pushed. And solve their problem. So if they need to feel that whatever we offer them is going to solve their problem. And they will probably tell you their whole story as well. And they buy from pleasant people who give them a really good experience. And when you talk to them, make sure that you talk to them with the same pace that they talk to you. Match their pace. And I think that's a good idea with any of these types of people, any of the people. And they generally have got time. And it's a great idea to follow them up with something really nice. And they're the people that you sort of need to give them a little bit of that sandwich effect, where they make them feel really good, give them the facts, and then finish with something really, really nice that makes them feel nice. So we've got the knowers, thinkers, and feelers. Do you guys already know who you are? So Hillary, you're definitely a feeler.
That's why I was laughing.
Yeah. Well, there's everybody. So that's just the three, and it's actually quite straightforward and simple. And when I think about the people around me, I can I can say who they all are. Mel, there is not, you're a thinker, Mel. The thing is that we all have got all three of them. We all have got those, but every single person has got one that's more dominant. And Mel, just because you said that you're a combination means that you're a thinker. Right? The knowers always know that they're the knower, and the feelers usually know that they're a feeler. It's the thinkers who think that, oh, I've got all of it, or I'm in between. That's exactly what I said, actually. So if you know that, like, this has helped me just the last week, a couple of people, because I've always gone to talking to people from my thinker point of view, and this has helped me to realize that I need to actually look at what is that other person, what type of person, and talk to them like that, because I am the person who goes to fill the gap with all the little chit chat and doesn't allow the other person to take that silence to think. Even though I'm a thinker, and I appreciate when other people let me think, but I don't do that. It's so I'm just looking here. We've got.
So I think, Tiina, we actually really need to, once we get the document to you, and I don't know how many of you have taken notes, it's actually, we really need to do a little bit of homework and just have a really good read through and think about that. It would be a really interesting test to see if those of you who know each other quite well, to see if you can decide yourself who everyone on the call, what they are, and see if you're right. And something that just came to mind, Tiina, was the last couple of days I've done today and on Friday I've done a lot of customer care. And this is really a field where I think you really have to think about it too, because you do have some customers who want to chat and talk about it and this, that, and the other. And some of them, you're almost bothering them. You're like in their way.
And I think that's why it's so important to sort of profile your customers, who they are, because if they are a knower, they don't want you will bother them. They don't want you to chit chat about the weather and what did you do on the weekend. So you need to know that, so you don't take it personally either. You just know that's how you approach them. And those people who are the feelers, who like to chat and they can tell you all about their dog and your cat and everybody, you need to have strategy. And I learned that early on because I had some customers like that. Have a few sentences that you use to get them off the phone, basically, because time is valuable, and you don't want to be spending an hour talking to one customer when in that hour you could talk to 10. So just using what I used to do, when I had a little break in someone there, to go in and said, oh, I've got this really great article, or if I ever have any articles come across my desk, are you happy if I just flick them through to you? So I asked yes or no question. So they had to say yes or no, and they couldn't go on and on. And then when they would always say yes, and I said, that's great. Look, I won't keep you on the phone anymore. But it was great chatting to you, and I'll, talk to you again soon or whatever, and then finish the call. But it took me a long time to work out that that's what I had to do. I used to be on the phone, and now every time I would call to some of the customers. I don't do that anymore. So that's why Janine says that you have to, scripts are important in a way that script is some of the sentences that you fall back to and always use in situations. And it's interesting because Lucy is a knower. I knew straight away Lucy is a knower. I thought, how many knowers? Lincoln is a knower. Husband's a knower. So, and Janine is a knower. So she said that the knowers are there to kick the thinkers' butts, right? To make us a bit. I thought it was really funny, but it is so.
Give permission, Lucy.
No, but I think it is important to look at all these people around you and appreciate those things that they got. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the feelers that I can, share the story, and the world needs the feelers to, because they do a lot of the social work and all that, and we need that, So I think it's important once you think what category anyone goes under, that you then appreciate that, and then their strength. This is where their strength lies. And I think we all have worked out who we are, and I think it always starts with us. Now, I'll really quickly run you through. She said there is a sales process, and I don't know how. I mean, I think it's relevant to anyone, but just really quickly. So she said also that we have to, because Janine is a thinker, she's very straight to the point. In any business, we need a sales funnel. We go out there, we talk to people, we network to make sure that you network on purpose to gain really good relationships. And Celine taught me years ago that when you network and you go, and if there's a group or you go to networking event, always make sure you don't want to talk to everybody, but make sure that you walk away with one or two really good relationships. And that's all you need to do at any networking. Your meetings with people. This is all our sales funnel in Choose Plus. I think is that it's the networking, it's the meeting, it's connecting with people, and then you got your monthly newsletters. Does anyone do monthly newsletter here, or have an email list where you add people so that you can, for example, these thinkers that you connect with? Because this is what I got away. I'm connecting with these people who need heaps of time to think about it. They probably need 8 to 10 exposures to think about it, but I'm not following up with those people 10 times. So I need a system how I can follow up with them until they are ready. So email newsletter is brilliant for that. So if you ask their permission to add them to a newsletter, and what Janine said, that the email newsletter is brilliant, not because of the information that's there. It doesn't matter what's in there. So just start building your list and send it out. It doesn't matter what you put in there. And most people probably won't open it, but what it tells them is that you are in the business. You are still in the business. So if 6 months later they've thought about it, they've heard about Choose Plus from friends or somebody, and your email pops up there, it reminds them, Tanya or Lucia, they are still doing Choose Plus, or maybe I'll go now back and ask them that question. So it's about being out there and showing that you are still in business. And joint ventures, I think it's something probably that we all need to get good with. Working with other people, like Melanie said that she asked her friend that, okay, if you don't want to, Choose Plus is not for you, but is it okay if I put it on your Facebook page? So doing these and working with other people, maybe, so that you can ask to put an ad or something on their page, and in return you put their ad on your page, and things like that, like working with people to widen your network. And you said if anyone's got a website, sorry, I should have had a drink. Your social media should reflect your website, because a lot of people just go there. And of course, phone, you got to pick up the phone. Picking up the phone is very important. But if you know those people who are reluctant to pick up the phone, or are afraid, or have got a fear of phone, or whatever, said, write yourself a little script or what you say, and you find that it's so much easier to pick up the phone when you know exactly what you're going to say, the questions you're going to ask, and what you're going to walk through. Now she said, and this is probably for another time, but she said there's basically a sales process that has got 3 levels of pain. So the first level is there's no pain, it's just a comfort zone, because we all can talk about our business or what we do and that. But the first level of pain is then when you start to work out if you are fit for each other, if that person, if you can actually help that person, do they have a pain? And what she said, that you have to go through those levels of pain in people to get to the close of the sale. And some people are really good, they just skip through it, and it's really easy. It's a lot easier to do with your friends and the people you know. Once you have talked to your warm market, that's when it starts. Those things start to become a little bit more important, to have the systems in place and have the questions you ask. The second level of pain is when you ask people about emotional questions. And when we're all about be the master asker. It's all about asking questions for people we meet, right? The networking, it's all about asking about that other person, because it's always about that other person. So when you ask the emotional question, find out what is deeper inside. What are the things they tried before? What is their pain? What do they want to change? What does it say? So that basically, how do they going to feel if they are not going to find a solution for their problem? What have you got to offer, and what if they are not going to take your offer? How are they going to feel? Will they be worse off? And then the third level of pain, you are going to take them through what is the next step. So if you got to the point where they think that if they are not going to interact with you, take your offer, or that then they will be worse off. So then what is the next step that they would need to do for that? And then once you've established the next step, then after that you go to the closing the sale. And she says closing the sale is always about talking to people as if you're absolutely certain that they are going to go ahead. So when I talk on the phone, I always ask the question, okay, shall we get started? Are you okay? So are you ready to get started now? Let's get you on that journey. So when you're talking to people in terms of that you're already convinced they are going to go ahead, they are much more likely to go ahead. And that's it. I think that's it. I won't go any further, but that was basically the compact version of that little sales course. So I hope you got something out of it. If you want me to explain anything further or got any questions, you can always send me a message. And
I'm sure we all got a lot. I just, for the 3 types, if we all get the document that you're going to put on our page, or even from your notes tonight, I intend to really study that and think about that, because I bowl into, maybe it's like I'm bringing a prospective customer, and I bowl in all chatty and all that, and I come across a person and I've forgotten that they're not that chatty kind, and obviously they're the knowers or whatever. And I sort of pride myself on being able to bring anyone around to being chatty and happy and all that. Some people don't want to, and that's such a good lesson for me. So that really helped me, Tiina. I've got to remember that these types, they don't want to be brought around. You know,
yeah, and that was my biggest takeaway from that too, was the 3 types, and actually accepting that is true, and how I then relate to those people, and how I basically force my thinker personality on them. And I was like, no, I don't have to, and I don't have to take it personally if they are different. If they want a different way of communicating. And actually, like, for thinkers, you think that you have to make them feel really good, but you don't have to, and it's actually a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think as you're building a relationship before you actually trying to get someone to maybe be a franchisee, you have got a bit of an idea what their personality is like. If you already know your personality, you know the little compromises you need to make sure that they're comfortable. It's all about them and not us. Tiina, that was.
And if you've got a team, I think it's important that. Have you frozen? Are we frozen?
No.
Or is it just me?
No,
all right. Yeah, like if you've got a team, I think it's very important to know what personality types are in your team, because if somebody's a knower, you don't want to. They don't need. They don't want to be like treated like a baby, or like, they are very independent. They know what they want, so you can just give them very direct information, and they go and fly with that. And also, you need to know someone is a dealer to make sure that they feel very valued, and they feel you're making them feel good and part of the team. It's important to them. So I think
for those of you who are up and coming leaders, and I know some of you are, and you're doing coaching with some of your team, for me, this is an eye-opener. I really need to analyze my people, because I know, like, the way I would chat and speak with Tanya is very different to how I'd speak with Lucy, and actually is really quite different to how I'd speak with Nicole. So yeah, really good food for thought there. So I think we've all got a bit of study to do.
We all go and see what our husbands and kids and they like.
We're analysing people. Well, thank you so much.
In the family, it is important in the family situation too, or any situation really, because I think you avoid a lot of conflict. Because for me, it's understanding that. I understand Lincoln better because I understand now that, oh, gee, he's a thinker. Of course, I've always known, but now it's just clear. I know that this is how he works. So I think it's something we can take away to every life situation.
So let's all go and analyse our family members as a practice, and then put it into good practice. Thank you so much, Tiina. I'm sorry our call started so late, but that last one with Mel was unbelievable, I thought. Did everyone enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm going to watch the recording.
Yeah, I just thought it was great. There were some beautiful things there. All right. Thank you so much, Tiina. And thank you, everyone. And I hope to see some of you at the Glass House tomorrow night. So I'll be there. Good night, everyone. Thanks again, Tiina.